thank you everyone for coming at all the different times here. Oscar, welcome. Thank you for coming in this evening. For you, Festus, thank you. So what I thought we'd do is we start off, and this is the first time we've all been together. Gerard and Oscar have met in the past, had them on a call. But if we could maybe go around the room, start right there with Oscar Lemire, and then everybody will, for the first time here, everybody will know each other. So Oscar, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. So my name is Oscar Lumire from Rotary Club of Kericho. I'm currently serving as the president, and I'm happy to be here to try and discuss how we can initiate the project of rain harvesting systems in Kenya. And I'm also happy to meet all of you here so that we can share more ideas on how we can proceed with the project. Anything else probably I would like to say?
Thank you very much. Next here, Festus, we'll stay in Kenya here. And Festus, if you could introduce yourself. I will preempt that by saying Festus has been the senior pastor on the ground for all of the installations in Kenya. And he is now working with Greg Chick. He's monitored the installation, and of course monitored the progress afterwards. So go ahead, Festus, if you would introduce yourself. Go ahead, Festus.
Thank you very much, Frank. I'm happy to be here today and to meet everyone. As you heard, my name is Festus. I'm from Kenya, a place called Bomet County. We are neighboring with Kericho County, where Oscar is coming from. So I've been working with Global Water Works. As you've heard, we have done various projects, and maybe I'll get another time to talk about it because this was in an introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about what's going on there. So with that, I see Yvonne, from also the Kericho Rotary Club. Yvonne, could you take yourself off mute and introduce yourself? Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, good evening. My name is Yvonne, Rotary Club of Kericho. It's nice to be here. I'll be off video and on mute. I'm driving home from school, but okay. I'll listen in.
You be careful. Thank you. And we will we'll record this, and we'll send out the recording. So anything that you miss while you're driving, you'll
perfect. Thank you.
So with that, let's go to the other side of the world and go to Hari. If you would, Hari, introduce yourself. This is the individual who a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Mary and I became acquainted with and really introduced us to rainwater harvesting. It's probably been at least 3 or 4 years. So Hari, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Frank, and good morning to you guys out there on the other side of the globe. And good afternoon to people here, 3 of you from Africa. Well, Frank is right. We started about 4 years ago, but 3 years ago, I happened to meet this beautiful lady, Mary. And I have not met her, but I've met her so far. And she's been threatening to come to India, and she hasn't so far. Maybe I'm expecting her to be here probably the next year. Well, for the last about 40 years now, I've been working on watersheds, then on buildings and green buildings. Essentially, like Mary said once, I've been addressing these challenges of both in building and in city scale in terms of what happens to the envelope beyond the envelope, what plugs into a building and plugs out of it, water, energy, therefore waste, and so on. We started this about 4 years ago at the onset of the COVID, and we told ourselves, well, anyway, there's so many people sitting at home. Let's see how we can make use of it, and it worked. We suddenly had it going. In the first 4 weeks, I think we must have had about a cumulative participation of about 500 people. And I said, it's got a great start. Let's see how we can build on it. 5-6 months later, Mary comes in along with Frank, and we start a few things there. We have done about 40, a quarter of the number of events that we have had so far. 40 of them have come from Mary, right? She's done a great job of connecting people from across the globe, from Europe, from Australia, from the UK, of course, the United States. And like Greg and I have been talking about these things, the concerns are the same. It's universal. The solutions can be local, but the challenge is much the same across cities. If you go to Santa Monica, and she brought us one wonderful person from there. And here, what we have done is, therefore, instead of talking about it, we said, let's see if we can demonstrate it with some very specific things. I spoke to this man called Vijay Raj, who is sitting here, must have been about 3 years ago. He had done some work on rainwater harvesting in a few schools, and it gave me the idea that we could look at some. And I visited 2 or 3 of them, must have been about 24 months ago, and we got started on 4 or 5. It was a challenge in the beginning. And along came Dr. Raj. Many of you here will know who he is. Festus will definitely know him. And he brought in Mary. And at one point, Raj said, look, this is not going to get anywhere if somebody does not, sort of decide to put in some money. And he chipped in a good chunk of money from there. Mary helped us Mary and Frank helped us get the transfers. And we did 10 schools, 4,800 kids as impact, about 3.5 million liters of water. I will talk in liters. I know you have to divide it by 3.8 to get your gallons. Divide by 4, let's say. So from there now, we have come to a point where we have taken on about 5 schools just now, and in the first batch of 10 schools, we are digitizing 2 schools. We are, and then creating a community, a WhatsApp community of headmasters, headmistresses, teachers, students of the senior classes, class grade 8, 9, and 10. The idea now is to see that we go to about 40,000 children and 50 schools, right? And we can do this academic year, which was born in July. We are in September. We still have time if there is funds that we can find. I think that per school, it will cost us no more than about £4,500 or about $5,000 US. And Frank, should I claim time and show a very, very quick, peek into the deck? Or no?
No, not yet. All right,
Not
thank
yet. Wonderful.
Thank you very
So
much,
that's
Frank.
all. I'll stop there now. So
Good.
there is advocacy that we do with something called WOW Action Forum, along with the Global Waterworks. Then we do practice with Rain Reach, the schools program. Over to you, Frank.
Okay, BK, if you would introduce yourself.
Yeah, very good morning to everyone. I am basically a mechanical engineer with hydraulics as my elective. I've been in basically looking after pumps and valves for the last 45 years. In Rotary, I'm there for the last 15 years. And we have been doing lots of projects in schools for the benefit of the children. But this has not come into the picture as at the rainwater harvesting. The supplying of water, like ROs, ultra filters, everything is being considered, but rainwater harvesting has not come to the picture. But 5 years ago, I became ambassador for WashRack. I'm Zone 7 ambassador for WashRack in Bangalore. So I do give, support to most of the clubs in Bangalore, Mysore, Mangalore, the hospital, Dharwad and all, for their projects in water and water-related projects. So my, like being a chairman of Indian Plumbing Association, also the national head of advocacy for Indian Plumbing Association, for us, rainwater harvesting is in the forefront, basically, for Indian Plumbing Association. So we have also come out with codes, guides, everything as UIPC with APMO. So we have a very good practice in in our hands. We have to go ahead and now do the real things where it benefits the school children, because in Bangalore we get about correct me, Mr. Dr. Hariharan, we get about 100 to 120 days of rain, so that we can catch it where it falls. That's about me. Thank you.
Vicky, can you talk about the 100 Happy Schools program of Rotary in Bangalore?
That's right.
Let's go into that after we get introductions done. Thank you. We will definitely get into that. So Kevin Bett just joined us. He is a Rotary in Kericho. If you would, Kevin, introduce yourself. We'll just go back to Africa for a minute. Go ahead, Kevin, if you'd introduce yourself.
Hi, Frank. Sorry for coming in late. I'm Kevin Bett, Rotary Club of Kericho Service Projects Director, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, sir, very much. So we've gotten BK Manohar. Would you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Manohar. As a profession, I'm an environmental engineer. I've done a lot of water harvesting projects and also mentored by Hari sir. And also, as a part of Rotary, I've been a past president and been on the district team along with BK sir in the water team, and now currently also on the district team as a member as an environment team. So yeah, I look forward. I've worked on a lot of rainwater harvesting projects. Currently, also working alongside Hari sir. So yeah, let's see how best we could leverage on each other's strengths and look forward to execute.
Thank you, sir. So then I can't say your name. I think Valaryar Raj. I mean, if you would introduce yourself, Vijay.
Vijay?
Vijay.
Vijay Raj.
Yeah, can you turn on your video, show us your charming face too? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Vijay Raj Sishodia from Bangalore. I'm the president of Rotary Bangalore Baswangudi. And actually, I was a charter president in one of the clubs. I'm a Rotarian since last 27 years. And I am into rainwater harvesting since last 24 years. That is the main, for me, that is the main core business. We have installed about more than about 4.8 lakhs installations in my last 24 years of
That's
career.
about half a million
installations. And we have done lots of schools, more than about 7,000 schools we have covered as of now. You know, we have done from Assam to Karnataka, everywhere we have installed. As of now, also we are doing a lot of projects in social welfare department for their hostels, you know, where they require a lot of water. And apart from there, we are doing a lot of groundwater recharging also. Our club is recognized in the District 3191 as an environmental club, wherein we do a lot of environment programs, and we are doing a lot of lake rejuvenations. We have got 3 lake rejuvenations in hand as of now, which has been funded by some CSR grants. CSR grants are from the profits. There is a 2% profit which is marked to be used for some community services, which is mandatory by Government of India for a larger companies. So we are doing a lot of projects like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll come to the United States, and Gerard, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Nice. Okay, I'm muted. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and good evening. My name is Gerard Munson. Please call me Jerry, like Jerry Lewis or Jerry Seinfeld, if you know those personalities. My background is banking, mostly consumer products. I've been doing it since 1976. In the last 26 years, it's been focused on mortgages, helping young families and other people get mortgages for homes. For 10 years, I was with the Neighborhood Housing Services, which reaches out to disadvantaged individuals across the United States, helping them learn how to become from a renter to a homeowner on that. So about 10 or 12 years in the nonprofit area. I was the compliance officer for Wells Fargo Bank. In our country, there is a community redevelopment group or act, and all banks are supposed to devote a portion of their time and money helping those that are underserved and disadvantaged. So that's my background. Been 3 years a Rotarian. Two years was in Santa Clarita, south of where we live right now in Tehachapi or Bear Valley Springs. So among all the participants here, principals, I'm still just an infant, I guess, in the Rotary, but I'm a pretty quick study. And last year, well, early this year, I joined the Tehachapi Rotary Club, and the president-elect asked me to take up the gauntlet and work for the group with the International Service Committee. So I'm the chair of that committee. I'm excited to participate with this group of individuals. I feel very privileged to reach out and help people thousands and thousands of miles away from me. So I welcome to the opportunity to work with you, and we'll find solutions. Quick background: our small group, about 40 individuals, had a program with an orphanage in Mexico, in Tijuana, and for several years, partnering with another district club, helped an orphanage. Two Americans, a couple, were doing a orphanage down there. Just before the pandemic, a storm hit and devastated the building, made it actually became condemned. So for the last 3.5 years, the club has not been able to really reach out and have a program internationally. So everyone's excited. Greg and Frank and Mary's project with the Greater Water Works has caught the attention and support from almost, I would say, 90% of our members. So I'm excited to represent our club.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Greg Chick, if you would step in here and introduce yourself. Greg has been with us in California. He has designed in Africa with Festus every one of the systems that have been installed, and he stays in contact and as far as the management of the systems and the sustainability. So go ahead, Greg, if you'd introduce yourself. Thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. I incidentally was a Rotarian for almost 20 years, starting back in the 90s, late 90s. I've been a plumbing contractor for 50 years, retired now. I worked with ARCSA, the American Rainwater Catchment Association, and developing that manual that we have, which we can use as the code, if you will, the standard for these systems. And I've been just a passionate alternate water person. And so to me, it just seems incredibly obvious that point of use water harvesting and point of use water waste and point of use treatment is just the way to go for a lot of places. And so I'm just really inspired by Festus, because he gets things done and he's great to work with. So I have hopes of training Festus, and so that I'm not even needed. I can just be his friend and watch him excel at what he's going to be doing here with these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Very briefly, Mary and I are co-executive directors of Global Waterworks. Go ahead, Mary. Just I think most everyone here knows you, but maybe a few don't.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to be quiet because they're tearing down a tree next door to me here. So I just want to say how excited I am to see this bench. And ARCSA has mentioned it. Rainwater harvesting has been the hidden jewel, untapped virtually around the globe. So we would love to see a movement across Rotary, across all of these NGOs to add rainwater harvesting as wells are disappearing. But you all know me. You can find me in the community, as Frank said. So back to you, Frank.
Frank Sylvanik, I'm co-executive director with Mary. Mary and I have been together now for about 5 years. She founded Global Waterworks a little over 8 years ago. And I'm very excited also to be here, and I thank everyone for coming. What I'd like to do here is just give a brief, let me lay out the agenda. I want Festus to give a brief description of what we have done in Kenya, and we'll add Uganda to that because there's one installation in Uganda. Hari, so we're going to talk about what's there and what we're looking to do next. And then with Hari, the same thing. What's there and what is Altec and WOW have done, and then what's next. And once we do that, and we're going to stay to an hour here, that was the original schedule. Hopefully everybody has that time scheduled. Once we do that, then we want to talk to Rotary about what is needed for us to move forward. What are our next steps, whatever they might be? What do you need from Global Waterworks? What do we need? What do we need? What do we need to do to move this to the next steps? And then we'll set the action items and then schedule a follow-up meeting. So does that work for everybody? Is there anything else that I'm missing that you would like to have covered here?
That's a good agenda.
Great, thank you. So with that, Festus, if you would review what is current and then talk about what we're looking to do in the future. Please go ahead, Festus.
Thank you very much, Frank, and everyone in the meeting. I would like to review what has been done, the great work that has been done through Global Waterworks. Right now, as we are talking, we have 7 projects which have been installed in Kenya and Uganda. First of all, we have a project in Busia, rainwater harvesting system project, with the capacity of 35,000 liters that has been installed in Busia. We have another one in Uganda that has also been installed, 30,000 liters. We have another one in Nairobi, 30,000 liters too, that has been installed. Another one in Masese, 20,000 liters capacity rainwater harvesting system. We have another one in a place called Menet. So Masese, Menet are in Bomet County, also having 20,000 liters. And then also in Bomet County, we have a 20,000 liter project installed in a place called Chekolon. And lastly, we have a place called Mononwet, also having 20,000 liters, which have been installed. All this was done through the joint operation or joint efforts of Frank, Mary, and Greg. Actually, Greg has been a great help in designing and seeing that these projects are a success. With a plumber, we have a plumber on site. His name is Leonard, and he has been. We have been connecting with Greg, and Greg has been very instrumental in designing these. He has been our engineer, though he's in the United States, but he has been doing Zoom meetings, WhatsApp meetings to see that these are done to the standard, the highest standard. So I'll just want to say, since these things, this rainwater harvesting system has been installed, we have seen great impact in the community. We have been having waterborne diseases in our community. That was the major thing why we really sought the help of Global Waterworks, thanks to the Mary, which I met through a group called Water Stories. So I was looking for people to support us get this clean water. Luckily, through God, I met Mary, and then introduced me to Frank on Global Waterworks, and connections were done, fundraisings were done, and we started to install all these projects that I've mentioned here. And I just want to conclude by saying, through this, we have seen where waterborne diseases have been stopped. People now are getting clean water. Also, through this water harvesting system, in our community that has been installed, we have seen the physical strain that women and children have been going to look for water and carry them on their backs and their head have been reduced greatly. Time also have recovered time. There was a lot of time consumption in looking for water, among other things. So what now, our request now is that we have 8 more sites that require similar installation to make our community have enough water. So that's what we are seeking help for, and maybe I don't know if I need to mention the names of the places.
No, you know, I don't think you have to do that. We just know that we have them and we've got a list of the next.
Yes, we have marked 8 more places so that it can assist the community well. This what we have just done, what we have done already has helped the villages that the people are coming from, but there are other villages that still are in dire need of that. Those are 8 villages, 8 more villages, 8 more places. Yeah, thank you.
In addition to that, we have requests from Tanzania and other areas within Uganda. So thank you, Festus. The community impact, as you stated, has been very, very significant, and we continue to look forward. Now, each one of these sites, just to give you a sense, is about $4,700 US. So the next 8 sites, we're trying to raise a little over $38,000. We have some of that in. We have about 3,000 of that in, but we're trying to raise another 38,000 for these next 8 sites. And that is just for Africa. We also certainly are looking, and Hari is going to talk a little bit about India. But we just had Angela join us. If you would, Angela, take yourself off mute and introduce yourself. We started off with introductions, so you can see everybody around the room here. Hopefully you can. So Angela, if you would introduce yourself, I would appreciate that. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon and good morning to everybody. My name is Angela Geshoke. I'm a Rotarian from the club of Kericho in Kenya. And I'm joining on the recommendation of Oscar Lumire. I'm currently the International Relations Director in our club. And I'm also the regional representative for strategy for our district. So here just to listen in more with regards to the plan and the ambition that the team here has with regards to WASH project, and see how I can support from a club perspective.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate you joining us. Before I turn over to Hari, Jason Ford, who is president of the Rotary Club here in Hartwell, Georgia, I met with him a number of times. He wanted to be on the meeting. He was called away, and he's right now traveling, so he's not. So he's very engaged. His club is very engaged, and he will get the recording and certainly our notes. And I will meet with him again to make sure that he's fully up to date. If everyone here on the call, I have most of your emails, but if you would put your email in the chat so I can make sure that I send you out, that you get the recording and the notes from the meeting, if you just put it in the chat. So Hari, if you would go ahead and talk briefly about what is in place. You've already covered part of that.
I will wait.
What is the plan for the future? Thank you. Go ahead, Hari.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you, Frank. There are only 4 specific observations I will want to make in this larger context of what Festus and Yvonne and Angela and others are doing in Africa, of course, Oscar and Kevin. Now, I will not want to inflict another blessed PowerPoint without power on you, but what I will do is I'll show you this one slide, just this one slide, since we are talking about India and Africa.
Yes.
Look at the challenge before us. India is 1/10 the landmass of Africa. And China, India is 40% of China as landmass goes. And interestingly, all three regions have the same 1.5 billion people.
Wow.
Give or take 20, 30 million, right? So the challenge is the worst in India today, right? Although we have been hearing the last, say, 6, 7 years, maybe a decade, of the severe challenges of pollution, of all sorts of things, groundwater contamination and such in China, I think the most blessed, relatively speaking, of the three land masses is Africa. Of course, it has 54 countries. Of course, it has whatever. But in terms of density of population, as of now, although we all know that there is a time bomb ticking there, we know that they are relatively better positioned. What I will do is, therefore, tell you of what is happening today in India. And as I think Mary said it, we need to see how we demonstrate very clearly and powerfully to communities of citizens as well as to governments that about the only way you can beat the water crisis is to understand that there is at the start of pipe, as Greg will say, what we will call harvesting of water, and at the end of the pipe, what we will want to reckon with as used water and not wastewater, and what you can do to put it back into the loop with not too much as any fangled technology, but with a very simple understanding and hugely commonsensical approaches that we can bring in those villages that Festus is working in, or Oscar and Yvonne and others are aspiring to work in their own countries. So to my mind, if you take any campus or a building and you looked at the starter pipe and you looked at the ender pipe, and then you said, I will pick and choose a few simple things that I will assemble, put together, synthesize as solutions, you will find that your demand for water from outside will reduce by easily 50 to 70%. Manohar knows this. He has been executing many. Vijay is here. He has executed many. In a city like ours in Bangalore, India, we have 2.5 billion liters of water per day needed by about 15 million people who are hosted on about 700 square kilometers of land, staggering for anybody from the United States, right? But not so staggering when it comes to Africa. If I were to take, say, Accra, if I were to take many of those cities which are at over 20 million as population, you have the same challenges as we have in India. But here, it is a lot more severe. This is the first one I wanted to make. The second is this. We have to stop use of borewells. I don't know if it takes the stick and some severe regulation and mandate from governments, or it is just, gentle, persuasive, change that we bring, because it is all our ailments. Greg knows this, from arsenic to fluoride to nitrate to every one of those metals contaminations come only from borewells. If I stop using deep aquifer water, I have no challenges of these things. Now, what are we doing? Industry is now turning to technology, they will call it, which will want to remove arsenic after you take this water from about, I would say, 600 meters or so below the ground. Why will you not work on simple systems of surface water harvest for agriculture, for industrial water consumption? Yeah, there he is. Greg knows what I'm talking about. So we want to first create a challenge, like we did with AIDS, like we did with COVID. We will let it grow, and then we will try to see how many billions of dollars we want to make on it with technology. The third part of what I want to tell you about is, Mary keeps saying, for example, that it is this generation which first caused the havoc since about 1980. If you are beyond 60, it is this generation. It is this generation which has got to also reverse it, she says, and we have to see that change within this whatever span of time between now and maybe 2035, we can help it. You heard the UN Secretary General talking about how we have only 2 years, he said. He pushed really the panic button maybe 5-6 months ago in one of those reports that appeared on every front page in the world. So to my point, to my whatever understanding, we can't do anything about it. We can't take on the government. I was in Uganda some time ago, and I saw the challenge, the severe challenge you have in Kampala itself. And this is one of the largest towns. 25% of your population is hosted by this one city. And that's the same. It's the same story in India too. So if there is a way of our telling ourselves that we should equip our children to be able to take on this world with them being weaned on these basic values of starter pipe and ender pipe systems, which take them away from this dependence, this crippling dependence on long distance water and on bore wells, I think we will have done a fair job. Here in India, at least from this part of India, it's a large country, so we can only make a small, whatever kind of dent. We are looking at probably 1 million children, over 1,500 schools, and we are not interested in tenders. We are not interested in contracts from the government, which will help us to put a few things, like pipes and filtration systems and come away. The real challenge lies in ensuring that we help them learn by doing. And that means that this hardware and the cost of it is the smaller challenge. The bigger challenge is, how do you ensure that there are mentors, water mentors, we call them here, and we have another word for it in the local language. The idea being that these mentors go over to these schools, sit with them, help them understand, not give them these terrible, boring lectures. The last part, therefore, it's not just about us doing it here. It's not one Rain Reach or one Altic Foundation. We can't change it. There has to be enough doing from us. Probably the first, I would reckon, about 200 to 300 schools. But along the way, as Greg has said many times in our conversations in the past, we have to see that we enable the doing. Mary keeps saying this too. How can we ensure that there are templates made in a way that another group elsewhere can take this up and probably do another 50 schools? I'll stop there. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. So your future is looking, we've got 10 schools with education and systems in place. Your future is looking at 50 schools in the next year, basically.
This year, this academic year, which is running currently, and then we want to look at 1,500 schools eventually.
Okay.
Meaning the next year, 3, 4, 5. I have a 5-year plan. I can share that with you, Frank, another day.
Good. I'm certainly Mary and I have talked about it. So with that, I just to remind everybody, if you put your email in the chat so that I can make sure that I get this information out to you. So you've seen everybody has seen what's been done. This is a sustainable water source. It is being managed in India and in Africa on a weekly basis to make sure that the integrity of the systems are maintained and that the water is clean. And we're also, because in Africa, we're new as far as how many liters of water we are storing, which right now the minimum system is 20,000 and the maximum system is 30,000 liters that we are capturing and storing and so on and so forth. So then there's additional things that can be done that individuals, when it's raining, they could, through nadi filters or some other method, could capture their own rainwater so that we get to a point where the rainwater that's being captured and stored is there for the drought season, which is devastating, certainly. And we're moving in that direction. So we're and to this point, the other, for those not been totally involved, I'm glad that you're here. Once a system is funded, so our process here for Africa, I will say, is there's a location that's recommended. They fill out an input form to us, where the water is coming from, how many people. There's a whole series of questions. Then Greg, given we meet, decide that it's something that we want to fund because of the need. Then Greg Chick gets involved with the leaders, and Festus is usually there, or it's another pastor. So we have leadership on the ground. And what we ask in each case is that in the application, they identify the people that are going to do the construction, the people that are going to manage it and maintain it on a weekly basis, so that we get reports on a weekly basis as to water quality, integrity of the system. So once a system is designed by Greg, he identifies with the local manager all the component parts that are necessary. Then the local manager puts together a budget, which includes right down to the elbows and the T's and the valves and the tanks and so on and so forth. The most expensive thing is the tanks. They run around $670 US. But so they put together a budget, then they submit the budget to us with the list of the workers who are going to do the construction, do the maintenance, and so on and so forth. We then raise the money for the grant. Like I said, the average is about 4,700. Some of them been as low as 3,700. Some have been, depending on number of tanks, what happens. Then we fund the grant, and once the grant is funded, we have been up and functioning at the site in as little as 5 days, as many as 10. Put in the site, the cement has to cure, they build, and then because in the meantime, while they have submitted the budget, they have identified the suppliers for all the pieces, all the components. So that within 10 days or so, then we're literally praying for water, because we've got the systems are set up. Greg has, through pictures and videos, he's inspected the joints and the connections and so on and so forth. We've got, like Festus said, we have a plumber on the ground. And the process in India is very similar. And the cost, as you see, is very similar. Hari said it's about 5,000 US. It's 4,700, which is 5,000 US, for Africa. So we, the first system we put in Africa was 1.5 years ago in Buzia. And that was followed by 6 more systems. And they're all installed and now functioning and operating, and we're looking for rainwater. So with that, I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable that it's sustainable and that we are managing the installations to ensure the integrity and the quality of the water.
And incidentally, these are all passive systems. There's no pumps, there's no power needed. It's all gravity fed. There's no piping in the houses. It's to a spigot, and then there's a bucket instead of a piping system.
And you can, on Global Waterworks, you can go to the Global Waterworks into the African rainwater harvesting site, and you can see pictures and so on and so forth, which Festus and the entire team of leaders there have supplied us. You can go to the India site and see the same thing. So we keep in Global Waterworks the groups so that we can communicate. We can communicate whether we want to do a live stream with the pictures, notes, comments, so on and so forth. So we continue to track and see the success and the need in both the Indian market and the African market, where we're both concerned. So that's where we are. With that, I would like to turn it over to, we've got about 10 minutes left here, to the Rotarians. If you would describe to us what you see as the next steps that we need to take to move forward to request funds from your Rotary clubs. We understand that Rotary is a ground up organization, so that's first it's local, then goes to international. So with that, if anyone, Oscar, Gerald, Yvonne, Angela, anybody who wants to address that, as far as what should our next steps be to make sure that we have everything, you have everything you need to seek funds for us?
I'd like to begin, if I could, Frank, and then, let the more senior Rotarians, put their experience on top of it.
You move your camera a little bit. We're looking at your waistline. Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Look, that's bad, isn't it?
No, that's not bad.
So again, as I introduce myself, I'm new to the inner circle as far as being on the board of directors with a specific chair and a purpose of guiding our local club through the the benefits and creating financial opportunities to help select groups. So with that said, I've learned that at the local level, there is something called under the district, and there are several clubs under each district. There is something called initials DDF, District Double Funds. What that means is that the local district has funds available, and they will match up to a certain amount each project or event or whatever the local club is doing with matching dollars. So if we raise 1,000, they will match 1,000. And then the same at the higher level, most of our international participants can tell me about is there's the international, which is a global grant that assists larger projects and internationally. In the step process, so that I'm trying to make myself clear about it, so everyone else, is that we've already passed all the opportunity to put in grants for 24-25 fiscal year. So with that said, the district has to have all applications in by March, April for the new fiscal year of July 1st. So we've passed that. Similarly, with the international, I've learned that the deadline for all applications global is June 30th. Again, we're past that for our club. But that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities to gain access by collaborating with existing clubs that may have already asked for funds but haven't found a project to support. And so with that said, Greg and I are on a road trip, I guess, where we are going out and giving two presentations to local clubs in our district and trying to collaborate with them. So in other words, asking if they would join us and share what they have in their treasury for the international project. So that's now the process, is that there's nothing that we can do grant wise that I'm understanding for this year, but we can work together very diligently and be ready for next, in 2025, get all the applications in, and then, with the proper descriptions, budgets, needs, all of that in place. On the international side, I'm learning that the minimum grant money is 30,000, which Greg has shared with me through Frank and Mary, that they need 37,000. So we would meet that international goal of having a need for at least over 30,000, but it can go as high as 400,000. We're not there yet, but that would be a great goal and dream, several years from now, to be able to ask for that. So that's what I understand right now, is trying to go up. Greg and I are trying to find local clubs that have excess money in their foundation fund and see if they'll collaborate with us.
Right. Thank you, Gerald. Oscar, do you want to take the lead for your Rotary Club there? You are president.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Frank. That was a very, very insightful discussion that you've had. The presentations have really lightened up the idea of rainwater harvesting. And as Gerald has said, that is the process of Rotary grant application. And probably what we can really do in the next step is to now have a conversation we have a conversation as Rotary clubs with Gerald. We form a team from our club and from the Rotary Club of Tehachapi, so that we can really own the project. I know now we have the idea of the problem on the ground, and we already know the solution, and we already know the impact of this project to the community. So what you're going to do is for us to come together with Gerald, together with the members of Rotary Club of Tehachapi, and then come up to create now the processes and the timelines for the application of the grants. We know exactly which route you're going to do. Are we going to apply grants from their district or global grant? So those are really some of the key issues that now the two clubs will really need to discuss. So I might give, let me also give members of our club, starting with the Rotarian Yvonne, don't know if you're still there, and then Angela, and then Kevin, just to say something.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I am still here. It is good to hear about the project and what is in store. Gerald, I think our DDF is just a bit different. Ours, we call it district designated funds. Basically, money put aside by the district to help the clubs do some of the projects. We really don't match it per se. It is at the discretion of our district governor to give some of those money based on one, the need in the community, the type of project, and if it aligns to his goals. So that is something that we as Rotary Club of Kericho can be able to apply for and see if we can be funded. Our district still does global grants, and because this is a grant that will be done from Rotary Club of Kericho, then that means we are the ones who are applying for the global grant. So if it's something that we would want to apply for, then we can still apply for it within this Rotary year. We've just started 24-25.
Wow.
So we can still apply for it as us, as Rotary Club of Kericho, and as the host members, then it is us applying for the global grant. So as Mr. President has said, we are able to sit down, create the group, then have a discussion going forward on what to do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Angela, do you want to add anything? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Mine is to say, I look forward to working with you all, as I did join in quite late and missed the bulk of the presentation. I do apologize for that. I had a conflicting meeting. So I do look forward to working with you and building a relationship between our clubs and the different organizations represented here, so that we can see this impact across our countries as a mutual benefit through this initiative. So I will limit my comments to that today. Hopefully I can join in a lot more fully and get to see the recording as well, so that I can be at par in terms of the information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kevin, do you have any comments you want to make?
Not much to add. I'm just grateful that I now have a better understanding of the project. And as we go into the new step of global application, I'm sure the Rotary Club of Kericho will be able to provide all the help needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. One comment I would make, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attendance and your concentration here. So Oscar, when you get the, and I could send you a separate email. Jason Ford, who's the president of the Hartwell Club, wanted to be here. So he will want to work with you and Gerard and Yvonne and Angela and Kevin and Monacore and all the people here, BK and Hari, in working the project. So you will have his contact information when I send this information out. I would remind you once again, if you put your contact information in the chat, I would plan on us scheduling another meeting for possibly 2 weeks out. If there's any opposition to that, please let me know. You can email me anytime. when I send the email, I will send you an invite that you can join. Global Waterworks is a free community. We've got 3,000 people in there. We're connectors, so we connect people and resources from around the globe to solve water issues locally, which you can see here. So that's what we do. And you can join Global Waterworks and have full capability in the community, but also with that, join either, you know, the African or the Indian or both groups, so you can be aware on an ongoing basis what's going on. So with that, I thank everyone.
Frank, before I know we
Go
have
ahead. Go ahead, please, Mary.
just BK Prasad, your happy schools, if you could just reiterate and your Rotarian wishes in India. We have a hard stop. We have a meeting coming in here who might join.
Yeah, basically, you know, like this Happy School is a program which we have taken up and most of the clubs have taken up by providing all the basic minimum facilities to a government school, not a private school, to a government school only. The first thing is drinking water, and two, then washing, washing stations. Third, we provide libraries. Then fourth, a physics lab or something, biological lab or something like that, and a small clinic also. These are being provided by the Rotary clubs to the school, and is managed by the school themselves. Periodically, we go and tell them and even manage or supervise them to look after. Basically, see, the problem is, you'll not believe the attendance of girl students has gone up by 70% for providing only toilets, because girl students do not have toilets. So just providing toilets to them, the attendance has gone up like anything. And they are very bright students. In fact, even in the school percentage, pass percentage has gone up thanks to these initiatives by Rotary. That is in a brief. It's a very big project. Next time I'll give you the entire thing, or I'll post it on the group next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful. And
all
right.